My ex-wife cheated, left me for her best friend's husband, and everything unraveled from there. I'm a 47-year-old man. My ex-wife, Laura, 48, and I were married for just over 20 years. We had 2 kids together, or at least that's what I believed for most of my life. 3 years ago, Laura left me for Mark, a man who, at the time, was married to her best friend from high school. Yeah. That kind of person. What I didn't know back then, and what nearly destroyed me when I found out, was that my youngest daughter isn't biologically mine. She's Mark's. Laura knew from the very beginning of the pregnancy and hid it from me the entire time. My name is still on the birth certificate. I was there for the birth. I raised her. She is my daughter in every way that actually matters, and I'm currently fighting for custody based on my legal parental rights. Finding all this out felt like getting punched in the chest and not being able to breathe. When I confronted Laura and asked her who she was choosing, him or me, her answer was simple: him. Why? Because, according to her, he can go for a second round right after sex. That was it. Didn't matter that I worked 2 jobs to put her through school. Didn't matter that I kept working myself into the ground so she could stay home with the kids. Didn't matter that I gave up my dream of a music career so she could find herself and focus on the family, while cheating on me. My entire life revolved around her and the kids. Laura was always emotionally cold. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and living with her was never easy. Her mood swings, emotional abuse, and physical violence slowly broke me down. I stayed because I believed she couldn't control it. Later, I learned that wasn't entirely true. She openly admitted to her friends that she hit me because she wanted to or because she didn't get her way. My kids saw her hit me. They heard her scream at me. I swallowed everything because I hated that they had to witness it. One night near the end, she exploded because I didn't take the trash out immediately after coming home from work. She grabbed me by the neck and started choking me. While our son stood there, frozen in fear, I told her, calmly, "Our son is going to remember this forever." That's when she let go. I should have left long before that. I know that now. I stayed because I didn't want my kids growing up in a broken home. I kept hoping she'd turn back into the woman I fell in love with. She never did. When the affair came out, Laura sat across from her best friend, whose husband she'd been sleeping with, and said flat out, "Yes, it's true. No, I'm not sorry." Then she stood up and walked away. She moved in with Mark, just a few apartments away from me, and took the kids with her. Even then, I still hoped she'd realize the grass wasn't greener. The guy had cheated on his wife multiple times. She knew that. For an entire year, I waited. She kept the apartment keys. I convinced myself it meant she'd come home someday. Instead, things escalated. Mark started showing up at the bus stop when I walked the kids to school, saying things like, "I'm here to say goodbye to my daughter, not yours." I finally snapped back and asked where he'd been for the 5 years I raised her, why she had my last name, why my name was on her birth certificate, not his. He almost punched me. Later that night, they both showed up drunk at my place because he wanted to fight. Around the same time, Laura went public on Facebook, proudly showing off her new relationship. Mutual friends were horrified and immediately contacted me, and Mark's wife. I saved everything: screenshots, posts, messages. Laura didn't seem to care how badly she was burying herself legally. Why would she? By then, I'd already forced a paternity test. I fell apart. I obsessed over everything I could have done differently. She blamed me for never being there. I worked 2 jobs. How else were we supposed to survive? I didn't clean when I got home because I was completely drained. Meanwhile, the house was being destroyed while she stayed home. Walls scribbled on, blinds torn down, holes in drywall. But sure, the problem was the trash after a 16-hour workday. The worst part? I wanted my family back so badly that I almost believed it was all my fault. What saved me was my brother. He dragged me into his band. I resisted, but he convinced me to at least meet the guys. That decision changed everything. I started playing again. I made friends. And eventually, I met Emily, 45, through the rhythm guitarist. I fell for her fast. For the first time in decades, I was in a relationship without constant screaming or fear of being hit. Laura still had keys and would randomly let herself into my apartment to drop off things for the kids. The first time she walked in and saw Emily there, things went nuclear. That night, Laura called demanding to know who Emily was and why she was in her apartment. I told her my personal life was none of her business. She left me. She lives with another man. That's when the obsession started. She stalked Emily online, sent friend requests, demanded to be accepted so she could see who the kids were around. When Emily refused, Laura screamed at me over the phone until Emily calmly took it and told her she had no right to access our private lives. Laura didn't take that well. Suddenly, Emily started getting friend requests from Laura's entire social circle. Then Laura began showing up at my place every weekend while I was at work, snooping. One time, Emily was home on the phone with me when Laura walked in unannounced. She claimed she needed to check how much milk was in the fridge. That's when I demanded the keys back. She made copies using our son's keys. When my lease ended, Emily suggested I move in with her to escape the chaos. Laura tried everything to stop it, even calling the police, claiming I was stealing her belongings. When asked to name what items belonged to her, she couldn't list a single one. Now the kids stay with us every other weekend. They told me their mom forbade them from talking about what they do with me. That rule didn't last long. Now she interrogates them nonstop. We live by the ocean. When they're with us, we walk the boardwalk, go to the aquarium, ride attractions, play on the beach. If they bring home prizes, she throws them away. Recently, I noticed she started dressing exactly like Emily. Same haircut, same hair color, same clothes. If we go to the beach one weekend, she takes them the next. Zoo? Same. Even dinner, she recreates meals and forces the kids to compare whose food was better. Last week, my son asked to live with us permanently. He said his mom is losing it. I'm documenting everything for court. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, she started sending me nude photos. Emily was sitting right next to me when they came in. I immediately told her I didn't ask for them and handed her my phone. She laughed, asked for Laura's number, and joked that she should send her nudes to show her how it's done. I confronted Laura. She claimed she sent them by mistake. Emily calmly pointed out that my name is at the top of her contact list and her boyfriend's at the bottom. Laura hung up. I've moved in with Emily. Laura no longer has access to our home. The kids don't have keys for safety reasons. I'm fighting for custody. I'm not my daughter's biological father, but legally, I am. And I'm not giving up. Laura was prescribed medication. I doubt she takes it. I check the kids for bruises every visit. Recently, she hit her boyfriend. He punched a hole in the wall and told her if she ever raised her hand again, he'd hit back. Update 1. My daughter's birthday, and her biological father didn't even show up. Last weekend was my daughter's 6th birthday. Technically, it wasn't my custody weekend. Surprisingly, my ex-wife Laura offered to let me take both kids to celebrate. Of course, I agreed. She even allowed them to stay with me for 2 extra days. At first, I assumed she and her boyfriend had plans and just wanted a kid-free weekend. What really struck me, though, was this. This was the first birthday her biological father could have celebrated with her. And instead, he handed her off to me and my girlfriend. Let that sink in. This man destroyed 2 families, got another man's wife pregnant, and when it came time to show up as a father, he couldn't be bothered. Top comment: he's a disgusting excuse for a human being. Don't expect him to magically become responsible after years of getting away with everything. Document his indifference, it could matter in your custody case. That poor little girl deserves better adults in her life. And yeah, I'm documenting everything. Update 2. Karma finally caught up with my ex. Saturday night, I got a furious message from Laura. She said she hoped I was happy now and that I'd finally won. I shouldn't have replied, but I asked what she was talking about. What followed was a drunk, incoherent rant about how all men are trash and can't be trusted. From experience, I immediately knew 2 things. 1. She was completely wasted. 2. The man she left me for cheated on her. I didn't engage. There's no point arguing with her when she's like that. I just read the messages and thought, you knew exactly what you were getting into. She left me for a married man who had already cheated on his wife multiple times. When I warned her, she said, I know what I'm doing. Well, now she does. Once she ran out of insults toward me. She turned on my girlfriend Emily. She called her ugly, said I could have chosen anyone and settled for her just to replace Laura. The irony is almost funny. Emily is beautiful inside and out, and Laura is painfully jealous. She's been stalking her, copying her style, her hair, her clothes. The rant continued. Laura claimed I couldn't possibly love Emily because no one falls in love with the first woman they sleep with after losing me. For context, Laura and I had been separated over a year before I met Emily. Then Laura accused me of faking love because I was supposedly homeless and using Emily for housing. That was laughable. I had my own apartment, directly across from hers, because she chose to stay nearby so I'd constantly see her and the man she left me for. When my lease ended, I moved in with Emily and transferred my job closer to her place. At one point, Laura said, I'm sorry I wasn't enough for you. That almost made me lose it. She left me. She found a replacement immediately. She chose a serial cheater. When she again claimed I secretly still wanted her and that Emily couldn't compare, I was done. I told her to contact me when she sobered up and turned my phone off. A few hours later, Emily came home. I warned her Laura might be angry and handed her my phone. She read everything, laughed, and said, looks like he cheated on her. That was it. No jealousy, no insecurity, just clarity. Emily later said Laura's narcissism really comes out when she drinks, and that she's probably furious because she can't sleep with me anymore to get revenge on her boyfriend. I haven't heard from Laura since. I assume she woke up, reread her messages, and felt embarrassed. My guess? She went right back to him. She hates being alone. Commenter, I love that your girlfriend laughed. That's a massive upgrade. Me? She really is. Her calm still catches me off guard. I was so used to chaos that peace feels strange. Update 3, Halloween disaster, and the moment everything snapped. As expected, the guy Laura left me for cheated on her. 3 days later, they were back together. No surprise there. Since then, contact has been minimal, divorce paperwork and occasional messages about the kids. Honestly, it's been peaceful. But I know it won't last. When she drinks, the messages always return. On Halloween, my brother's band played their annual 18+ event hosted by a close friend. It's been a tradition for years. Laura used to attend with me, until last year when I discovered her affair and the truth about my daughter. This year, she wasn't invited. She showed up anyway with the kids and her boyfriend. I was furious. She knows kids aren't allowed. Security repeatedly told her she couldn't stay. She caused a scene and accused me of choosing a party over my children. The organizer eventually allowed her to stay for 2 songs, strictly for the kids, before threatening to call the police. The night was a nightmare. While I was on stage, Laura tried to confront Emily. It didn't go well for her. Emily shut it down immediately and told her to stop using the kids as emotional weapons. Plenty of people witnessed it. Then the final blow. My daughter loudly announced to the entire room that she has 2 dads, me and her mom's boyfriend, and that her mom's boyfriend is her real father. Laura was humiliated. She snapped at her daughter and stormed out. But our son refused to go with her. He clung to me and begged to stay. In the end, her boyfriend asked Emily if our son could stay with us for the night. That says everything. Later that night, my son called me crying. Laura and her boyfriend were screaming at each other, apparently arguing about me. According to my son, the boyfriend yelled, "What pisses you off more? That he moved on and you can't crawl back? Or that even if you'd stayed with him, he still would have left you for his current girlfriend?" That's when it exploded. I stayed on the phone with my son until things calmed down. Where things stand now, the divorce still isn't finalized. I'm moving forward with my life. I'm done looking backward. My only focus is getting my kids out of that environment. And yes, I'm still fighting for custody. Final commenter. She's angry because she can't come back. If you ever hear screaming like that again while talking to your kids, Call 911 immediately. Cheaters don't find happiness. They just trade partners and bring the same toxicity with them.